Yes, 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 indeed. Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. And as you'll find out, data and information helps build more skills in RC. Welcome back to another stand-alone interview. And this time, I have the man who invented and is perfecting the TestLogger telemetry system for RC cars. Mr. Jussi, I am not going to try to pronounce his last name. I do in the podcast, but I recorded that quite a few months ago, and I can't remember how to say his last name. But thank you, Jussi, for your time, or Jesse. We greatly appreciate it. Before I go into more about Jussi and what he's doing, I want to say a big thank you to all of you guys out there, the NNRC squad around the world. Without you guys, we can't do this. Please keep hitting that like notification button. If you haven't done it yet, keep sharing it, commenting, doing all that type of stuff. Let us know what you think in the comments. Help that algorithm. We want to round it up, and we want to get to 10,000 subs by the end of the year or before. We're at almost 8,400. We can do it, everybody. 1,600 more. If you ain't follow us on our socials, do that as well. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. We got it. We go and we're doing it. Anyway, also a big shout out to our patrons and YouTube members on the podcast. If you wish to support the podcast a little bit extra, you can. For the price of a cup of coffee per month, you can become a YouTube member or patron, and you'll get perks like early access. I have Patreon chats going. I'm trying to do some more stuff in the YouTube channel, and you help keep things going, man. That is very important to the survival of this podcast. Also, what's important to the survival of this podcast is companies that support us. I want to say a big thank you to J Concepts High Tech RC, Sidewinder Fuel, Beach RC, Invisible Speed Techno RC, Clinic RC, ML Toys, Elite RC Productions, One Up Racing, Mayako, A Main Hobbies, SMC Batteries, and Racecraft for their support. We have links for them in the written description of this podcast, some affiliate links where you get a little slice, some coupon codes where you can save a little bit of money, and just some links that have them to their shop. Let them know you heard about them on the No Name RC podcast, because showing the sponsors of love shows the podcast of love. So as I said, information and data are key in RC. In racing, period. In life, period. The more data you have, the more information you have on something, the better you can do things and approach things. And we've constantly complained about we can't get data in RC. And when people talk to me, what do you think the next big innovation in RC will be? I simply say, and this is what I firmly believe, in order for us to innovate more, we must first find out how to collect more data. And as you know, in full-scale racing, they have, and I'm probably saying this wrong, but they can collect data through telemetry and whatnot. And obviously, on big cars, it's a lot easier. They have nanos and nodes and sensors everywhere, right? We know this. Not everyday cars it has it. But how do we transfer that into RC? Well, this man Jussi, he's from Finland. He was an avid racer. He was also involved in what was considered to be one of the best 10-scale worlds ever. Was Vaasa. He's been credited about that. He works for, I think it's Toyota Gazoo Racing. He's a very smart guy, and he's been writing this. If you're a science nerd person, you're going to love this podcast. And even me, I'm not the most science nerd guy, I was really intrigued in talking to him, and I asked him to break it down into terms that I can understand. And he's onto something really good here. And I'm really shocked that more people haven't jumped on this. And I know we've seen the TestLogger logo around once in a while and whatnot, but I actually got to sit down and talk to him, and it was I'm actually quite pumped about it. I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. Let me know what you think about it. Is this important? How do we go forward doing this? Are you going to try it out? And if you have any questions for Jussi, let us know in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoy this. Information is key. So thank you, Jussi. And enjoy this talk with Jussi from TestLogger, brought to you by J Concepts. Jussi, how do you say your real name? Because I know I butchered it.
I say Jussi Luopajärvi.
Jussi Luopajärvi. That's definitely a Finnish name.
Yeah, indeed,
Definitely
indeed.
You're like the fourth Finnish person we've had on this podcast. You know, we have JQ, we have Max, Pekko, Una. Now fifth.
So we have like a Finnish mafia.
You do, a Finnish RC mafia. I've met quite a few Finnish guys. We have a friend in commune, Ari, who will send me random messages for like 2 weeks and then disappear. So he sent me a message about getting you on here because for people that may not know who Jussi is, he is the man behind TestLogger. That's your more what people can relate to you now. But you're also the part of the organization that put on what many claim to be the best ever World Championships, which was the 2011 10 scale World Championships, which was talked about in our 10 scale Worlds preview with Andrew Savagi. He was talking about it a lot. I was kind of out of RC when that happened, so I don't know much about it. I have watched it. It's great. But if you talk to people, even Jason Rona says it. JQ constantly talks about it. Many people have definitely had nothing but positive things to say about that race. I also know that you, Red RC, and a few others were involved in trying to start something like RCGP at a point. I remember JQ always used to say, yes, some guys who were really liked in the industry tried to do it and it didn't work. He always used to say that, but I never knew who it was. You work in full scale racing as well. So you have a lot going on with you. We're going to talk about all of that, but I always like to start with how you got started on your RC journey, because Finland has a pretty rich history of RC. You have Jukka Sanari, Timo Lino, world champions, and of course, everybody pretty much knows JQ, and everybody knows JQ Junior Max. And now Pekko is actually becoming very popular. Juno Hotnen is very popular as well, but Pekko is becoming very popular as well and a very good racer. You've produced some good racers there in Finland.
Yeah. So, so first of all, big thanks for inviting to the podcast. It's a big honor to be here, and always listening to the podcast once in a while, and it's really, let's say, enjoyable. But if we go to my history, so my brother was doing go-karts in the 90s, and there was also always a RC track beside the go-kart tracks. And I used to went there and just to watch. But then on 95, I actually got into it. And basically, I had the car for 2 weeks, and immediately I went to the national race. Okay, I think I was close to last, but that's where you all got started. And then I started with the 12 scale pan cars, and then I went to electric buggies in, let's say, next summer. And basically electric buggies, 10 scale buggies, that's been kind of in the core and in my heart basically from the beginning and until today. And but then I was doing touring cars for some years. Last years I've been doing 8 scale e-buggies, but electric buggies have been always the thing for me.
Okay, so you grew up in the Finnish RC scene. Then you saw all these guys that I'm talking about. You probably watched JQ come in and get in there. I don't know how old you are, maybe around the same age as JQ, maybe a little bit older. But you've seen all these guys kind of come in and been around the RC scene for quite some time in Finland.
Yeah. So I've seen, I think at the time when I was kind of starting, Jukka Steinari was the kind of the idol and looking upwards. And same for Teemu Leino and these guys, kind of, you could say, legends in the sport. Yes. And then, of course, growing up together, like seeing JQ, same time racing with him. Same with Jonah was coming at some point, and so definitely have been kind of racing and seeing the guys and being part of the community, because I was not only racing, but I've been working with the Worlds, but also with the National Federation, was doing a lot of the, let's say, organization. And I think, I don't know, 5 years I was doing the EFRA jobs for Finland and etc. So it's been not only driving, but just running the club and trying to get the sport bigger in Finland.
How is the 10 scale scene now in Finland compared to what it used to be?
If I'm brutally honest, I think it's bad. It's really bad, and I think in overall, I haven't been like in the races now for some years. But if I kind of look at it, I'm personally I'm just worried that where the sport is going.
Well, in Finland or just in general?
I think in Finland mainly, but because the touching point nowadays to the international racing is not that big anymore. So, but hard to say that I don't want to take any, let's say, opinion on the global scale. I do have an opinion, but I don't think it's everything. But maybe we can go back to that when we talk about the worlds. But
Okay.
But in overall, I think it's. I'm a bit worried. Like after COVID, I think things started to kind of slide down a bit. But I hope that the sport will get back on its feet and there will be new guys coming. And I think when before COVID, my generation was still racing, even though we are in our 40s, and the kind of the old generation was still there to keeping up the things alive and the entries up. But then I think a lot of us had also stopped racing and got the families, but there's not that much new guys coming in.
Now, briefly, because I don't talk about this much with Max, but is the scene in 10 scale more like we see in Europe, indoor carpet type of racing, semi-permanent, or a few outdoor tracks? How is it now?
Both. So there is quite, let's say, good amount of outdoor tracks. Of course, I think we were one of the last ones to change from the 10 scale tracks, the clay tracks and dirt tracks to Astro. So I think now hopefully that will kind of bring up new guys because you don't need to maintain the tracks anymore that much. And I think there's quite a good amount of permanent indoor tracks as well. So
Okay.
in that sense, I think there's quite a good amount of tracks, I would say.
Okay, that's understandable. That's understandable. You also, I found this out from Sovaji that you and Ray Monday, because his name came up, used to work together or work together on the same rally car team. So I asked you about this. You said you work for Toyota Gazoo Racing. I'm going to bring them up right here. Maybe I'm always interested in stuff like this. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in this. I mean, well, Finland's kind of like a mecca for a rally car, right?
Yeah.
Lots of rally going on there, produce lots of fast rally car racers. But tell us how you got involved into full scale racing.
That was a bit of a luck, you could say.
Okay.
So the full story goes that I had developed like the TestLogger tool, but I had also developed a kind of a simple tool for managing event logistics and like VRB drives and etc. for Alpine Skiing World Cup event in Levy. And I went to that to present or kind of demo the application to a national motorsport federation or the Rally Finland organizer. And then I just mentioned in the kind of in the side note, hey, by the way, I have this TestLogger tool as well. And at that time, the Toyota's WRC project was kicking off in Tommi Mäkinen's company. And the person I was talking to was taking one call that, hey, I have this guy that you need to talk to. And yes, I gave a call to Jarmo Lehtinen, who is still my boss, that you might want to see me, and I demoed TestLogger, and also our current technical director was in the demo session, and they actually asked me after the demo that, do you want to work for us? So that's where we got started. So I actually brought the TestLogger tool to Toyota, and we started to develop it for rallying and for that team. And it's actually still very much in active use. So it's one of the, let's say, key tools we use in Toyota to run the WRC operations. And so Yeah, that's where I'm, and I've been there since there. First, I was doing some engineering work, software development for 4 years, doing the rallies, tests, traveling a lot, and now for the last 5 years, since COVID, I've basically been just in the office and doing IT stuff.
Okay, so what did Ray Monday do for them then?
I think there must let's say I think Ray was actually working for WRC in the past as well, but I think he was, if I remember correctly, he was working for Citroen team before I got involved in WRC. And now he's working for Toyota Australia, and
Okay.
he's kind of in the road car development. And so in a way, we do have, let's say, touching points, and we've been more working together. So we do have a, let's say, common line in that sense with Ray, both working for Toyota, but we've been more involved with TestLogger and developing the data logging tools.
All right. Well, I was going to save test logging for later, but it's very pivotal. Let's talk about that. How did that come about? Tell me about it. I know nothing about it, so tell me about it. Full scale, then to RC.
Yeah, hobby. So where it got started is that like my brother was doing go-karts, I got kind of how things should be done. He was doing the European Championships, and he was quite successful in go-karts in 90s. So there I kind of got the idea that how things should be done. And at some point on my own RC career, I kind of had like written notes in notebooks. I had Excel sheets where I had taken my notes. I had a Microsoft Access database where I had taken my notes. And then I kind of thought that there has to be something better. Just has to be a better way how you log your, let's say, information when you're doing testing or racing. And that's, I had no expertise on coding, but I got started. And I kind of had a target. Okay, if I can do this, then I'll try to see what I can do with this. And I basically started to build a tool just for myself where I can log the conditions, lap times, my comments, setups, kind of what's been going on, a kind of diary that I can go back and see that what's been done and keep up track of a record what's going on. And then I kind of got really excited about coding at that time. And then I also kind of started to talk about it for other guys. And then basically it's been just building up since then to build the tool. And but now I think the key concept is more around, if I could, let's say, if I turn this way, that I was visiting Jyväskylä University a couple of months ago, and that actually really hit me hard because they do have this sports faculty, and they are part of this high-level sports. And there was one quote what really hit me hard, and that was that all results and is in competitive sports is a result of systematic work and team around you. And then it kind of hit me hard that, okay, this is exactly what TestLogger is trying to do. And I've never been able to actually put it into words, that it's the systematic work, what we are trying to help with TestLogger, and to kind of, it might feel silly that why do I need to record these things? But when you do it in a systematic way, you actually consciously or unconsciously, you develop your ways of working, you make your kind of a systematic approach, how you do things, you develop, it forces you to think what you're doing with the car, as an example, or with your driving. And this is, I think this is the direction where we are heading with TestLogger. So in the kind of in abstract level, but if we go more into practice, what we do is that we have the TestLogger manager, which is kind of where you can record your lap times, conditions, comments, setups, etc. And then we have the TestLogger collector, which is the data logging device for RC cars. And that was basically developed after I got into Toyota, because there I kind of really understood what means data logging, what you can do with data, how it works in professional motorsports. And then I was thinking that, okay, is anyone doing this for RC cars? And nobody was really doing it, and in the level where I was kind of happy with. And then I kind of, one of the number one mechanics was also into RC cars. And we thought that, okay, we need to do something with the dampers or shocks there, because they are not something, or we feel that it could be better. And we thought that, okay, we can't develop the shocks unless we measure what the shocks are doing. So then I thought, okay, let's try to do a data logging, just a prototype that how we can log the shocks. And that kind of took a twist that we kind of dropped the data, what do you call it, shock development. And I purely focused on developing a data logging device for RC cars. And now we hear that we have like data logging device, which is taking the best parts. Well, maybe that's a wrong word, but kind of it has taken a lot of influence from full-scale motorsports, how things are done over there, and then trying to mimic it into RC car racing, and that it could potentially bring the same value what it does in full-scale motorsports. And and now we are, let's say, we're kind of trying to build a kind of, I don't know, ecosystem that you can do everything. You can log the data, you can put the comments, you can basically everything what you do with your RC car, you can do with our, let's say, tools. And if either you are a club racer or a world champion, you can always try to do things better. And you don't need to be like a person who wants to be a world champion, but just wants to beat yourself, and you want to kind of be better, and you want to develop your own driving. Then you basically, then I would say that our tools are the right fit.
Okay, so what I'm taking from this, you have a device in full scale.
Yeah.
Data logger, a device that captures all types of telemetry type of readings. So what type of readings are we looking at in full scale that this device collects?
In full scale, I think in total we have, in rally car, I think there's something like 1,500 channels or measurements what you do.
So, and is it real time or downloaded after?
Yeah, downloaded after, because in rallying the rules forbid real time telemetry.
But it has possibilities to do real time.
Yeah, technically yes. Yeah, okay. But in our case, it's always kind of stored into the car, and then we get it out after the car is back in the service. But what you measure in rally car is like throttle, brake pressures, steering angles, gear, speed, RPMs, damper or shock positions. What else? A lot of temperatures, a lot of pressures, tires, let's say pressures, temperatures. There's millions of things voltages, power, a lot of things what you want to measure.
So now, how big is that? I just am trying to have a picture of how big that device is, and I assume it has sensors, or how does that work?
So you have it's called ECU, so engine control unit, or what's kind of controlling the engine, but it also has the possibility to log data. And there's, let's say, sensors around the car, and then you have a wirings going around the car into the central unit, which is called ECU, which then logs let's say, stores the information what's measured. And then you have basically two aspects to the data. You can use it for reliability analysis, or you can use it for performance analysis. And the performance, you could say that it's getting divided into two sections: driver analysis and then the chassis analysis. So you kind of, I would say that you want to separate these two from each other. And yeah, there's lots of different tools how you can do this, and lots of different mechanisms. And you actually, this is the funny part, is that I did my master's degree in electrical engineering, and I was working for a company called ABB, and I never used the math what I learned in the university. But when I got into motorsports and data analytics, that was immediately you needed the math. So that's actually used quite a lot, that you need to use the math to get some. So you measure some things and you actually calculate other values or KPIs out from the measured values, because you can't measure everything, but you kind of utilize the different channels what you measure to get something else out, what you want to actually follow or you want to analyze.
Wow. Okay. That's super science mode right there. Super science. I get it. I understand. All right. So how do we scale this down to something to fit in an RC car? What type of measurements are we taking in the RC cars with the TestLogger? And how long did it take to get to the point that you're at now?
So what do we measure? So first of all, I think the big problem, what I was struggling, is how to fit the equipment into RC car. You know that every car is super tight nowadays, that you don't have not that much extra space. And I'm still not happy. And everyone is suggesting me that, hey, why don't you contact like the receiver or the Futaba or Sunward and try to, let's say, integrate the logging into receiver, because that would like open up a lot of things, but never, because this is a hobby still. So never had the time to do that or take the effort. But so that's been was a struggle for a couple of years to kind of develop the hardware into the size that it's reliable and you can get enough measurements, fit enough measurements into the box, and you can still fit it into the cars. So that was a big struggle. And then, of course, how to measure things, that was another struggle. And but yeah, slowly, surely, I think it took something like 2, 3, maybe 4 years to get it like into the shape that it was, let's say, sensible to give it for externals or sell the equipment. And what do we measure is I think the most important things is the receiver signals. So throttle, brake, steering, and then I think the next big thing, or for me, the next important thing is probably the RPM from electric motors, that you can get the speed, and then the lap receiver. So our system can take laps, but they can also take multiple splits. So if I kind of stop there, I think that's the core for, let's say, data logging in RC, that you can analyze the driver behavior. And that's where kind of, for me, it would be super interesting at some point to get a kind of comparison that you would get like top drivers, maybe let's say drivers who are not on the world class, but let's say good enough, and compare where the differences are coming from. Because what's the big value in data is in driver analytics is that you can you can split the data into laps, and you can overlay the data from 2 different drivers, and you can actually calculate the point of from just that you have the speed and basically distance and the lap time. You can calculate which part of the track the time difference comes from. So if there is like 2/10 of a 3/10 of a difference in the lap time, you can just overlay the data, and you can see, first of all, what's the difference, what the guys are doing with the steering or with the throttle or with the brake, and you can take kind of hints, how do you want to change your driving. But also the big thing is that you can see which part of the track you lost that 2/10 of a second or 3/10 of a second. And so that's the big value. But then we can also measure like temperatures, the IMU, so inertial measurement unit, so you can get accelerations, yaw rates, yes, etc. And you can also get the wheel speeds from different outdrives. So what you can do then, that if you put a wheel speed sensor on both outdrives on the, for example, or let's say if I go a little bit back, so let's say that you're measuring RPM from your electric motor, and you have a two-wheel drive buggy, and you measure the wheel speed from both left and right outdrive. So then you actually have all the speeds what you need to actually calculate the slipper activity. So you can't measure how much your slipper is activating and when it's activating. But if you measure the speed from the motor and you measure the speed from the outdrives, you can basically then just do a delta or measure the difference between the speeds, and you can see when your slipper is activating. I don't know who can use it, but maybe I kind of just to explain that, okay, what you can do with the data. And also with when you're changing, kind of adjusting your differential, you change your oils. When you measure the wheel speeds from both outdrives, then you can basically do XY plot, and you can, or kind of 2D graph, and you can see how much your diff is actually, let's say, working, and how much there is like slip and in your diff.
Okay, so I'm going to put this in very simple terms, how I kind of understand it. I get it, and I'm probably wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong or right. So in my brain, let's say you take my test logging, and I put it up against, I don't know, Max's test logging. He's a better driver than me. You then, what happens is I got a map of the track in numbers and graphs, and then I can overlay it on his, and then I can look at where his faster, and then make adjustments to my car or even my driving. Let's say my car, like you said, the slipper clutch is slipping too much coming out of the corner, whereas his is not. Then I can adjust my clutch and stuff like that to match his and get the car to attain what I need to attain there. So basically, in my brain right now, what I'm thinking is you're mapping the track in numbers, and you can put a value to that and then find out how you can lower those numbers to get faster lap times.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Good. I wanted to make sure I wasn't wrong with that. All right. So I'm looking at this graph here. You have the main unit here. Now this is into the receiver. Do you have sensors going out to all this, or is this just information you're getting through the receiver?
Basically that's showing the receiver. So we kind of steal the receiver signal to our logging, and then we have separate sensors for wheel speeds, temperature, and nowadays you can measure the voltage or whatever you like with the analog input. The inertial measurement unit, that's a separate sensor. Lap receiver is a separate sensor, and then for the RPM, it might be a separate sensor for nitro or fifth scale, or for electric motors, you can steal the sensor signal from the sensor wire.
Okay, so these are actual physical sensors then going out here. If this was say a nitro car.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd be measuring flywheel speed, I assume, of a.
Yeah, nitro is a really tricky one. Fifth scale and electric are the easy ones, because you have pretty good, let's say, ways how you can measure or solid ways how to measure the RPM. But the nitro is the tricky one, and there is some ideas. Unfortunately, I just haven't had the ideas. There has been some talks about having an optical sensor that you would have like a sticker in your flywheel and you measure that. Because the problem is that now we measure the RPM with a magnet, and you don't want to put a magnet on your flywheel.
Got you. Got you. Okay.
And but so basically the idea or how you need to do it at the moment is that you actually measure it from the outdrive on the center diff as an example, or on the or, or one of the drive drain shafts. So that's something I have some ideas to how to measure the real RPM from a nitro engine,
Mhm.
but just absolutely no possibility to use the time for that.
Okay. What about suspension? Is there any way to measure that? Or suspension
Yeah.
movements and what? Because you did mention that, and I want to know you've if you
So
figured out a
so
way
the,
to do that yet.
yeah. So there's like two ways how you can do that. The traditional method is that you use a linear potentiometer. What works quite well in 10 scale buggy, 8 scale buggy. I might even have some photos about it. I do have prototypes, and I did use it myself some years ago when I was actively driving. Um, and that works quite well. The installation is a bit of a pain on RC car, but it is possible, and you get really, I would say I was surprised how good results or let's say how good quality results you get. Then touring cars and on-road is, I would say, a little bit more tricky, because the problem with the linear potentiometer is that you generate friction, which is affecting the suspension behavior. So we are actually trying. I have a couple of guys in France who are helping me out and testing a lot. Ben Jabira and Corentin Ducre, and Corentin is actually now testing on magnet-based suspension measurements. So basically, he just we have let's say Hall effect sensor or magnet sensor glued into the what do you call the chassis, and then you have a magnet on your wishbone, and you basically just measure the distance. And so there's kind of a couple of ways with what we are currently kind of trying out and trying to get it working reliably.
Okay. Wow. I didn't realize it was that deep. I get it. So I had a buddy. He's super science man here in the DR. If I was ever a pro racer, he'd be my mechanic's name, Alex Waxman. So he's big into on-road, and we was doing GT. And he had an Aerotronics real-time telemetry product. Heard that basically it was measuring. He had sensors for temperature, RPM, servo inputs, because it was nitro, right? So servo inputs and all that type of stuff. And I had it, and I was watching it, and he would get all this information and download. So this type of stuff's been around, but maybe not to the extent that what you're doing right now. And this was in nitro. So
and I think the big difference is that, and I also need to say that this can be quite let's say overwhelming sometimes, and it might not be it's not something that it just is a silver bullet or anything that you really need to actually work and maybe understand, and that's what you are actually measuring and what you want to understand from the data. But kind of the big difference, at least personally, I feel to compare what's the difference between the products what we have and what others are having in the market, is that the analytics side, because a lot of the let's say receivers and the transmitters are having now this real-time telemetry. That's nice and that's fine, but how do you analyze the data? Because in the reality, you are going to need some sort of lab triggers that you can split the data into labs that you can compare what happens during the run. And secondly is that at least what I've seen, that the analytics tools are, I would say, are limited, that you don't have that much possibilities what you can do and how you can kind of visualize the data. And I think that's also quite a key, that you can get something out from the data, that you need to have enough flexibility and powerful tools how you can visualize what you actually measure. So I think that's the big difference what we have between the current RC products, or if we compare the market. And I think the closest one, what we have, you could say a competitor, or what I consider competitor, is the Racebox Micro, who is actually doing a product for full scale. But they also have like this RC car version of the tool.
BeachRC.com, the racer's one-stop online hobby shop. Choose from all the popular brands and variety in stock with super fast shipping and great customer service. BeachRC.com still has the local hobby shop feel with all the benefits of the internet. BeachRC.com is the exclusive distributor for Ultimate Racing, S-Works, Pro Circuit Racing tires, Nitro Lux fuels, and Assault RC performance products. So fill up your cart and check out at BeachRC.com today.
Okay, so I'm looking at the TestLogger Analyzer Pro features, and this is let me get that out of the way. So you actually have a map of the track. Here's all your lap times. So this is the software that basically is what you have to learn and use to make, okay, this. See, my focus was on hardware, but now seeing the software, I see what you mean. This is probably the most important tool, taking that information and actually putting it into applying it.
Yeah. And this is actually what you can use for decision making. So in a way, collecting the data is not actually the hard part. The visualization and the analytics is actually the hard part, and how to get something out from this.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and the track map. That's you can actually measure or draw the track map from your measured data. So you don't have a GPS or anything. That's based on the distance driven and the lateral acceleration, where you kind of calculate the track map.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is powerful software.
It is. Okay, maybe I'm subjective, but I feel that if I would still be, let's say, seriously racing, it would be definitely helping out. And if you think about like how I always try to vision things. So if you think about like ETS or EOS, where you have a limited track time, and you would have like a couple of guys on your team everyone is having the tool and everyone is logging the data, and you have enough time between the runs that you can deep dive into the data and you can compare the data. Then you can clearly make a plan that, okay, these are the areas on the track where I need to focus on my next run, rather than that just talking. But you can actually, based on the data, you can try to make a plan that where do you get the differences and how you can, let's say, improve your driving or the car for the next run.
Oh, wow. See, this all clicked just now for me. We're going to see fewer F1 setups at RC races in 10 years' time or less.
Yeah.
This is what's going to make people go faster.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is, okay. See, like I said, my focus was just on how do we collect the data, but now actually looking at the software, how do we use the data? And that's the beautiful part of all of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now when, like, what the vision what I have is, now when you compare, like, you measure the data, and imagine that now if you use the TestLogger manager, where you have every single setup change what you have for each run, you have the conditions, you mark that, okay, what's the grip level, what's the temperatures, whatever. You mark your tires, you write your comments, you basically write all the metadata around your run. And now when you think about the current generation AI tools, what you have available,
oh my goodness,
you start to open a lot of doors.
nobody's using this? Like, no top drivers are using this?
Not really, no. But I'm a really shit on marketing.
Wow. I am shocked that no top, like, I would think especially in Onward, this would be extreme. I mean, of course, it's helpful in Off-road, but in Onward, like, this could be extremely helpful.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. I see how powerful it is now. Someone said, "Oh yeah, Andrew Savage goes, that TestLogger stuff's awesome." So these guys understand that type of stuff. See, I'm just a simpleton, but even now, I understand. This idiot understands how this can make this people better.
But I can actually show you. I don't know if I can share the screen.
You can share a screen.
Yeah. So this is the TestLogger manager. I actually need to log out. So what I'm going to show you is a feature of what's coming up soon. So I'll go. Here's my history: 9 pages of sessions. I'll take one, and I take it in on purpose. Something what I have written in Finnish. This is from really old ones, so 2019. And here you can see some old stuff like statistics about the lap times. And if I put here you can see some Finnish comments that how the like quite okay, really shit batteries, etc. And there's some statistics actually. Let's take another one. Maybe I have a better one in here where I actually have setup changes recorded. Here's some Euros testing I've done for a couple of years back. So here you can see some setup changes I've done for the car. Here's some, let's say, statistics, etc. But this is not the interesting part. This is the quite typical manager stuff. But the thing here is that we have a new feature on development called Coach TQ. And I can just analyze the session for me and give a test plan for next session. So this Coach TQ, this was a good demo effect. So let's try again. Let's refresh the page. And like I said, this is still under development. So this is only available for very few users. We're trying to iron out the issues. But now the Coach TQ goes through it has an access to this session data, what I have recorded. And it goes through what I've done, my comments, setup changes, and hopefully it will come up with something sensible for the next session. So yeah. So what it gives me, okay, the session overview, performance trends, rear end was loose, call for nervous, especially with little chassis tires, kind of just reviewing what's been done, setup observations, consistency, what kind of best laps where those are, how much mistakes there have been in the runs. And then if I just scroll down, there's a lot of stuff. But here's the, let's say, thing, what's kind of the test plan for next session. So key variables to test. Try the battery placement, rear shock setup, front camber, chair compound, wing position. So it kind of looks my biggest issues from this session and proposes a potential test plan, what you want to try in your next session.
That's cool.
And this is what we are kind of going after, is that what I was talking about, this systematic work, and that it is the base for the results. So we're kind of introducing a kind of test plan that you have a certain structure that you can auto-generate with the AI, a test plan for yourself, and then you can generate a debrief. So you have this kind of side to side that, okay, what you have, what was your plan, what was your outcome, and then again, it forces you to think what to do next, and where's your problems, and what do you want to improve.
Now, does it have to learn this, or does it have to learn you? You know, like your style of driving and all that stuff, or
no, not really. Yeah. So basically, it uses the data what you have available here, and it kind of tries to match that. And this is not yet using like the measured data, but that's kind of in the coming up as well. So we're trying to bring the measured data in here as well, but that's another story. But and the idea is that you could also kind of define that, okay, what's your level where you're driving, what's your target, etc. That the AI can utilize that information to kind of match your or the responses according to your, let's say, level.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's very cool. So basically, you have a setup guide right there.
Yeah,
to help you do that. Oh wow! So if I say, okay, I want to shave off, I want to figure out how to do this part of the track. Well, I want to shave off. I need to get to this time. It will give me suggestions to do it, and you could go through each suggestion until you get there, I guess.
Mm. And you can ask that. I didn't do a kind of this basic question that, okay, my car is understeering in low speed entries. Okay, you can ask that, and it gives you the, let's say, technical or theoretical background, what impacts and what you can try to mitigate that.
Okay, so this stuff's the future. This stuff is the future. We've been going on about this because it's cool, but what is your ultimate future? I know this is something that never ends, right? This is always going to be constantly developing. You said you're shit with marketing, so a lot of people ain't using it. But as a developer, as the owner of this, what is your vision in the end for this, where you think, okay, now I can focus on marketing and getting people to use this more? Because I have a feeling a lot of testing and all that stuff, you're marketing it, but not marketing it because you're still testing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of the mentality that it's never ready, so never want to market it. But we shouldn't do that. Should go more into the, hey, try it out and see, give the feedback. And one reason is also that it is still a hobby, so you can't use that much effort on it. We do have some plans that we actually been with the shareholders. We have been talking that, okay, do we want to make this a serious business, or do we want to keep it as a hobby? And now we're kind of starting to evaluate that. Would there be a kind of possibility to make this actually a serious business? But what I would kind of, from vision point of view, how I see that tool, that I would kind of want to have something for I'm more looking into the club racer in certain way, because if we can provide something for the club racer, then I believe everyone can something out of it. So what I kind of, in the, let's say, ultimate future, if I wouldn't have any limitations, I would like to have like a integrated data logging platform. I would like to have like some sort of even standard between the manufacturers, that, hey, this is how we log data in RC. These are the you could say protocols, or the technical way how you measure the data. And then everyone can create their own tools to analyze the data, or they can whatever they want to like do. But kind of, I would like to see in ideal world a kind of a common way how data is logged in RC and manufactured would be kind of unified in that sense, that you don't need like a separate devices anymore, but everything would be integrated into the device what you have in the car. And that is what I mean with this, that then you don't have the hassle of installation, because that's a big trouble. So when it comes to hardware, that's my vision, that we could have some sort of standards on this side. Then when it comes to analyzing, I would like to see that now the new AI stuff and things like this we can make it so good that for club racers, you can get like 80% of the basic stuff, that you don't need to actually understand what you are, let's say, it is a benefit, but you could get a lot of already help when you're starting the hobby, that where to focus, what you need to do with your driving style, how you can develop your driving technique based on the measured data. And this is what I would really love to achieve. I don't know if it's ever possible, but this is what I would really love to achieve.
That's a big thing. Imagine like you just go and you're just like, okay, boom, have an app on your phone, boom, and then you have your instant results and analyzation right there on your phone. If you're ready to run, I don't know if your car you just bought, and you're walking back to your pits, and by the time you get back to your pit, you're like, okay, change this, change that, change that.
Yeah. And how you kind of, okay, you were, let's say, using way too much steering on the entries, or you have to be more gentle with the throttle, these kind of things, basic things, nothing fancy, but just to get your kind of directly into the right path.
Awesome. I think the more people using this, the better the more information you can gather to learn how to make things better as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. How would somebody go about? They just go to testlogger.com and they can purchase this?
Yeah. So if they want to have the data logging equipment, just go to testlogger.com store and purchase there is some ready-made bundles, which I definitely recommend to start with the bundle rather because it has like all the necessary components in the same package. But I know that this is cheap marketing. But actually, before anyone is actually purchasing a data logging device, I would actually recommend that, okay, get familiar with the manager, get your shit together in a certain way, and start working systematically. And when you have that part, like you record the runs, you record your lap times, you record your comments, you think and record what the car was doing. And try to understand what the car is doing in your run and write it down and get that part done first. And after you are, let's say, familiar with that part, then go into data logging, because I'm quite sure that if you don't have any experience on data logging before, you get this equipment, you will be overwhelmed and you will take it out from your car because you feel that you don't get anything out of it. It's not worth to have it. So it takes a bit of a kind of so go easy, start with the manager, get started. And then when the time is right, then go more deep.
Okay, cool. Good stuff. I like it. I'm pleasantly surprised by that conversation. I knew we was going to have a good conversation. And I know a lot more about the TestLogger now. And somebody asked me this, I can explain it to them.
Techno RC. Techno RC is a championship-winning manufacturer of high-performance A-scale, 10-scale, nitro, and electric RC buggies and trucks. With a worldwide dealer network, USA and Europe-based headquarters, comprehensive warranty program, and global race support, Techno RC is excellence in RC. View the full lineup of Techno RC race-proven vehicles by visiting www.technorc.com.
Let's move on to what else you're known for, the 2011 Vaasa Worlds. You're part of the organization that put this on. I like I said, I was out of RC. I wasn't really watching RC. People consider this to be one of the best worlds ever. It was a lot of hype around it. Let's walk me through that.
Boy, that's a big talk. So I think it all started in 2005 or something. We kind of thought that, okay, do we want to go next step with our club? So should we go like FRGP? Oh, let's try that one. And that might be good. Let's say we might be, okay to organize an FRGP. And then we get a couple of calls and then, no, you don't go to FRGP. You go straight to Euros. I was like, shit. Okay, let's try it out. And we got the Euros. And those we all held 2007. The Euros were apparently successful because in the banquet on Sunday or Saturday, was it Sunday night in Sky Bar in Vaasa? I think many will remember that bar. Everyone was shouting in the room that go for the Worlds. I was like, oh no, this Euros was already a massive effort to get pulled through. But we kind of sleep over it. And I think we even slept over for it like a year. And then we kind of go, okay, this is a one in a lifetime chance. If we want to or try to get an organize a Worlds in RC car, this is the only chance we're ever going to have the chance to try it out, because the IFMA rotation that next time Europe is going to get the Worlds, it is in 8 years' time. So it's going to be too far. And so then we kind of started to think about it, and we started to think about what's the concept. And I think we didn't go too deep yet, but I think we were competing against Austria. I can't remember anymore which EFRA meeting it was, but it went into the vote. And if I remember right, I think we were even tied with votes, that it was like the one vote difference or something, like a chairman vote, what was making the call that is it going to be Austria or Finland. And we won it. And then that was like 3 years before the Worlds, or 2.5 years before the Worlds. And basically since then, 2.5 years to organize everything, get everything sorted out. And I think I have a lot of stories about it, but was actually not only this race what we organized, but we actually had a kind of a pre-race or marketing race, which we organized with Rally Finland in 2010, which I don't know if JQ has referred to that one. We had the Nitro Buggy race in Rally Finland, where we tried this new race format. And that was organized by the same group who organized the Worlds, and we used that purely to promote the Worlds as well. And a lot of talks, but I don't know if you have any. You want to deep dive into?
Never heard that. I never heard that. I might have heard it, but I don't remember it.
Because so this Nitro Cross event, what we organized, so we knew that it's going to be a demo event, or it's an event about showing the let's say the sport for a big audience. So you can't go with the regular qualifying format and then the regular finals. So you need to have something different. So what we actually tried it out, and I think it worked relatively well. So we had a qualifying, which was, I think it was 1 or 2 or 3 minutes, very short one, and the best lap counts and nothing else. Who drives the best lap wins the qualifying. And then what happened is that we divided the drivers based on the qualifying results into, in a way, heats. I think it was something like 6 or 8 drivers per heat. And so you had you could say a kind of A heat with the faster drivers, B heat for the slower drivers, C heat for the etc. And the trick, what we did is that we ran it in like a laps or finals. That was let's say driver against driver. And from the heat, from the A heat, last 2 dropped into the B heat, and from B heat, first 2 were promoted into the A, and from B heat, the last 2 were, let's say, moved into the C, and again, the C heat, first 2 were promoted into the B heat. And then that was the first round. And then we kind of, the groups were shuffled for the second round. So based on the previous results, all the changes. And we did this on the second round, again, the same thing, that basically the last 2 were dropped and the first 2 were promoted into the higher heat. And that's how we drove, like, I think it was 5 rounds of heats. And that basically defined then the traditional 3 for the finals or semis and etc. So whoever was in the final, who won the last heat, A heat of the last round, got the pole for the finals or for the semis. And so basically, if you ruined your qualifying and you were last or you had something, you still had the chance. If you won basically all your heats, you were able to climb up back to the eighth main or a heat and then get a good position for the finals.
Okay,
I don't know
and
if
you
that
did
make
this,
any sense.
Yeah, I understood it. And then you did this in front of a crowd of people at a rally course race?
Yeah, and that was, I think we had something like 50, 60,000 people watching.
Oh, wow. Like they were, that's a lot of people.
So not
All right.
everyone at the same time, but like during the weekend,
Yeah.
there was that much people visiting.
I get it. Okay, sweet. Well, that is always good to get RC in front of. That's like the dream, right? Get it in front of people alongside a full-scale race. Now let's segue into, so where did that lead from there to the Vaasa Worlds?
Yeah, so Vaasa Worlds, our first target was that we try to make as much as money as possible. The Euros was a bit of a disappointment that I think it was break even or slightly deficit or on a minus, but I think it was close to kind of break even. Of course, we got a new rostrum or the driver stand. We got our, let's say, a lot of the infrastructure improved, of course. So you cannot say that it was like break even if your infrastructure is improved based with the race. But we kind of first thought that, okay, let's try to maximize the profit from the Worlds. But our thoughts kind of changed during the, let's say, the process. And we kind of made a kind of bold statement that we kind of think, what's the theme? And we kind of came up with the coolest race ever theme. And yes, you could kind of take it as a very kind of absurd comment that, okay, we're going to do the best race in the world, but that wasn't actually the target. We were actually turning it into Finland and being close to polar bears, so to say. So we kind of started to think about it, the coolest race ever. We got Jimmy from Opel to make a logo for us with a car frozen into an ice cubicle. And we actually did that for the event, that we froze one small RC car inside an ice cube. We stored snow from the winter that we were able to organize a snow fight. I think it was on Wednesday or in the middle of the event, in middle of July, and people had quite a bit of fun with the snow, and we kind of started to kind of build a race around the ice theme in certain way, and try to bring these elements into the race. But of course, the hidden agenda was that we really are pushing to make a world-class event that people would, let's say, enjoy, and that people would feel that it's worth to travel to the event. And yeah, the story was, or let's say, we were in a way lucky position that we had a really good relationship with the city of Vaasa, so they were on board with us, and they sponsored us, and we were able to get like quite a big sponsors, and it was like really close that we were about to close a big sponsorship deal with a local company. I think it was valued something like 20,000 euros at the time, which was a big money, and I think it's still a big money in this racing. 20,000 euros for the title sponsor for one event, but unfortunately, there was one big setback, that we had like the payment details even agreed, and then came the CEO and said that no, we're not going to do this. We're going to do something else, like oh my God, it's like, how are we going to recover from this one? Because our budget was already kind of calculated that we can get this sorted out, or we can figure this out, and we have the funding. So that also already kind of put us in a slightly not difficult, but that already made it impossible pretty much to make any massive profit of the race. And if I go in there, I think in the end, we were a couple of €1,000 positive, but it wasn't definitely not anything to make a massive profit from it. And I think if I kind of go, if I remember that it was actually really close, that there was like a lot of setbacks just before the event. It was like one of the setbacks was that the track, now you can see the track, it's actually, it hold really, really, really well. The surface was just perfect all week. But that wasn't the case. It was like 2 weeks before the event. We had prepared the surface once, and the whole surface cracked to kind of pieces of like a coin, and there was like absolutely no possibility to drive on that surface. And that was like 2 weeks before the Worlds. And we were like shitting our pants. How are we going to do this? And okay, sleepless nights and a lot of work. So we basically, what we had done is that we had used one chemical to make the surface. So what we did is that we washed the whole track. We washed all the chemicals out from the clay. What you have on the track, you can imagine that's a lot of water that you clean basically the clay, and you break it more and more, and you try to make it, let's say, you basically try to get it back into the starting point. And then we got something like I don't know what the road salt is called officially in English, but
calcium.
I think we took something like 1.5 tons of so 1,500 kilograms of road salt, or that we laid into the clay. That what allowed us to actually force the clay into the shape what we wanted. And so we had to take like quite extreme measures that we get the surface into the shape how we wanted, and that required a massive effort from the team and from the people. And the funny part is that our track was, let's say, dry all the time, but still our let's say the drive shafts got rusty because there was so much salt in the track. And and other things, we kind of knew that, okay, we have an outdoor track. So what we did is that we purchased a tarpaulin which was covering the whole track. So when we knew that there's a rain shower coming in, we pulled the tarpaulin over the track in, let's say, 5 minutes, and we were kind of saving the track. And then after the rain shower is done, we were, let's say, opening the track and continuing the driving. So we kind of, because our original thought that was that, oh, what if we put a tent over the track? That let's try to make it, let's build a cover over the track. But that wasn't possible money-wise, and technically there was too many challenges. So okay, let's take next best possibility, that let's order a massive tarpaulin, which you can see on the video as well, and that saved the race big time, because there was probably one of the biggest rain showers what I've seen in the whole city in the many years, and that saved the race. And but that was not the kind of the set. I was talking about the setbacks. I think it was only a couple of weeks before the event that we actually didn't have a contract with IFMAR, because we were not kind of happy with the let's say conditions what IFMAR was laying out in the contract, and
like how you got paid and all that stuff.
Yeah, and who has the responsibility, who gets the money, and basically this is a kind of oversimplifying the topic, but the main issue, or how we felt, that it's basically so that, okay, IFMAR is taking all the credit and takes a lot of the money, but takes absolutely no risks or let's say responsibility on if something goes wrong, and all the responsibilities and risks were actually put it for the organizer, and that pissed us off quite badly. I was actually saying at some point that we're not going to organize this race if the conditions doesn't change. And I think I can't recall any. I should actually go back to my notes or emails and see the communication. But if I remember correctly, we got the, let's say, compromise into the conditions, and then okay, we were progressing with the event. But I think the event was like in mid-July, but it's still, I think it was like early July when we got the contract signed. So, and that kind of, if I kind of go outside from the event a bit, I don't know if the world has changed, because I haven't been in the international racing that much. But at that time, I kind of got the feeling that this sport is not in a very good shape, in certain way that every, let's say, stakeholder in the business have their own playground, their own sandbox where they're playing, and they don't give a fuck what the other sandboxes are doing. So if I kind of put it this way, that you have the big organizations, IFMAR, EFRA, ROAR, who have their own way how do they do things. Then you have the manufacturers. They care about their business, which is understandable. They should do. Then you have the media, which wasn't, let's say, I don't know, that organized at that time. I think we were the one of the first ones to do like an official, let's say, registration for the media as well. And I think we had something like 40 media registered to the event. Yeah, wow. In total. So that they had their own rules how they play, and then you have in the middle, you have the organizer who is coming just for that event, and you try to survive with all these three players in the middle, and everyone is playing with the different rules and different agenda in certain from our perspective. So I was actually super annoyed about it, and I kind of made a post about it. I think it was social media or I can't remember anymore where it was, but I didn't go into that much details in that topic, and I didn't open it at that time. But I think now it's been, let's say, long enough to talk about it. But I was really annoyed that nobody's actually caring about the sport. Yeah, that's how I felt at that time. That everyone is caring about their own area, but nobody's actually looking, how do we make the sport successful? And like let's say, how to put this? If we think about like our rule set, nobody's kind of in the IFMAR, nobody's kind of going into the really thinking what makes the sport more, let's say, popular. How do we make it more approachable on the federation level? Businesses I think they need to take care of their business, but I think there's exceptions to this, but in certain way, they are kind of looking just from the short view, just to make this business successful, rather than thinking that let's make the sport successful, which makes our business successful. And for the media, I think the media was so young that there's like no like playbook how the media should work in the big races or in RC in general, that everyone was doing their own stuff. And basically there was I think with the live stream, for example, we had to pay for the live stream a lot of money. I think it was close to 10,000 euros what we paid for the live stream, but we didn't got even a logo into the live stream. But there was a lot of company logos in the live stream, which pissed off us. That okay, we pay a shitload of money for the live stream, but you don't even bother to put the logo into the stream, or that okay, we are kind of funding the stream as well. But at the same time, IFMAR is requiring in the rules that, hey, you need to pay and provide the live stream. But nobody's kind of, we are forced to do that. But options were, let's say, limited at that time. What
I was just
do with.
Who did the live stream? Was it Live RC or RC Racing TV?
Live RC was doing it.
So that was the only two options at this time.
I think it was at that time. It was coming. I think it was an IFMAR decision that it is Live RC. If I remember, this is with a caution that if I remember correctly, that's my. If I remember correctly, that was the case that it is alive. It was kind of Live RC and IFMAR in a way made the deal.
IFMAR puts no money towards the live stream. They just demand that you have it, right?
Yes. Okay. So. Yeah, but we pulled it off, and the race was good. You can see there's a lot of people watching. We did a massive promotion in the city during the year that we. Mm-hmm. I think everyone in the city knew that there's the event, and we even got into the national, let's say, news with the event. And so we really did a really big effort try to utilize this event as a promotion for the event, and therefore we had like kind of this. Extra activities to attract the people in, that you were able to try RC cars there. We had one of the WRC drivers visiting the event to kind of as a Patreon for the event, and so we kind of did a lot of small things and tried to make the event like a proper race.
Yeah, you thought big.
Yeah.
You treated it bigger. You treated it big.
Yes.
We've talked about many of the subjects that you talked about on just now. I think that the governing bodies at this moment are still lost on how to promote the sport hobby to the masses. As we're recording this, I was reading something with the on-road community. They're trying to Nitro on-road is struggling really bad. I think this is where Jorn blew up his ESC while he's leading the race, or blew up his motor. It's still like that. And I think that comes down from just the people involved in the associations are still very archaic, living in a world back in the 80s. It's changing a little bit. I think on the manufacturer side, I would say in the last few years, 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years, since RCGP, things are starting to shift a little bit, but it's taking time, I guess, because I'm now working a little bit more on that stage and getting to get around more manufacturers. But I would agree. And you guys seem to be kind of a little bit ahead of I would say the only other person, the 2008 Worlds at Charlotte was very good that they did. I think that's the first Live RC. If you remember the Manufacturers Cup, it was an 8-scale race. And I had the guy, Rick McCreary, he was a part of that. And they told us what they did. Like they treated it big, like they gave away tickets to people, and on the radio station gave away tickets. They had, they treated it bigger than what it is. And I keep saying that, like, treat this big, like use the professional guys, make them look professional. I think who won this? Was it Tebow? So I think Tebow won 4-wheel drive and Cav won 2-wheel drive at this race.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh man, I was looking at some pictures and stuff of them. They look so young, right? But yes, this goes on as one of the best worlds ever. I think because of the attention to the media coverage that you guys put on it. But you also bring up a lot of things that these tracks have to go through to do it. Like, I know that trackthon in Chile that just had the GT Worlds with 50 entries completely lost their ass, right? And that sucks. And I'm sure Raw lost money on it too, because there was probably nobody, they didn't make no money off entries, I would assume. And it's like we're still doing the same thing over and over when it comes to that, right? And now they're trying to implore or get people to come down to this facility in Chile, which is one of the best facilities I've been to. I've been there twice. It's one of the best facilities in the world. But what is the solution? Maybe not every class. Maybe the GT Worlds isn't ready for Worlds yet. If it gets 52 entries. The off-road Worlds never seem to have an issue. They get pretty good entries. I mean, we just had the recent e-buggy Worlds. Was it as much as a Nitro Buggy Worlds? No, but things are changing a little bit, slowly but surely. And it seems like the last 5 years that things are starting to shift, but it's a very small turn. Which brings me to the next topic. After this, I think he was part of a group of guys, which included O'Sheen from Red RC, that went forth and had a proposal. I assume, maybe you could correct me on this, for a world championship. And you did this at the Argentinian Worlds in 2012, if I think this was.
Yeah, I think it was. I was never there myself.
Okay, but you were involved in it.
Yeah, I was definitely involved.
So walk me through that. What was it? What was the idea? What was the plan? What did you guys do?
I was trying to remember where it got started. I think it might have started in the 2013 Worlds in
well, the Worlds in Australia.
No,
in
Chico.
2012.
I think 13 was the 10 scale buggy Worlds in Chico, where I was driving as well. And yes, there we had a meeting at the A-Main Hobbies office where we had like the key manufacturers, myself,
so I was
media. And that's where kind of we got the kickoff meeting to think about it. Okay, let's try to build something. And that's where I think everyone was unanimous that, okay, we definitely want to do something. And that was basically, I was in a way, or let's say, representing the race organizers as I had my, let's say, past experience with the Worlds a couple of years before. I think we had Neo Buggy there. We had Red RC. Can't remember, was there any other media? At the meeting, but at least those two were there. Associated was there, Proline was there, A-Main. Can't remember who else was actually there. But anyway, that meeting, we kind of decided, let's do something. So then we defined a working group. I think it was myself, Oisin. Then there was people from A-Main. And I was thinking, was there anyone else? I think there was some, but it's too far away that I would remember everyone who was involved. But definitely Oisin was, we had the most chats. I think we were talking multiple times per week. And basically we started to build a concept that, okay, we have a kind of commercially funded a race series, taking ideas from Alpine Skiing World Cup, Formula One, all these professional race series, and we make it a professional race series. And we even went into that kind of, we kind of thought that, okay, this needs to be happening in beside big events where you get the spectators. So you need to have temporary tracks. We even went to that far to think about that, okay, what kind of containers, how we can kind of, for example, send everything what is needed to run a race. We were at that time talking about that, okay, maybe it is a compromise, but let's make an Astro turf tracks, which we can move into different places and it's consistent. We have exactly the same setup everywhere. And that we put the stuff into containers, we ship them around the world where we want to have the events, and we can have exactly the same setup, and that it's done in a way professionally that what if you're selling sponsorships, you know what you're actually selling, and you have everything under control. You're not dependent on any local tracks or clubs, and we did a very detailed plan on it, but we also did a very detailed budget in certain way that we need to have pay people doing it. You need to invest into equipment, etc. And I think that's what basically pulled out all the manufacturers when they see the price tag. I think the original plan was something that, okay, it's going to be like something like 2 million investment to do this. And when you think about like, even if you get like 10 manufacturers, it's still going to be a major investment. And I think they thought it's a too big of a risk. What I was annoyed about is that there was only we did send it to, I think, all major manufacturers or all manufacturers, and it was only handful who actually just replied that, sorry, that this is not possible. And nobody was saying, I think, that yes, let's do it, but they were not even bothered to kind of send a reply that, hey, no, we need to go back to the drawing board. So it's kind of then we tried to push it a little bit with Oisin afterwards, but I think we lost the momentum with the manufacturers, and which it's understandable because it would have been a massive risk as well, and therefore I was super happy, even though we were thinking about this concept and we were thinking about the race, let's say, formats, everything was like quite detailed. I think I still have the plans available, which I can even send it to you if you're interested. But I was super happy to read about RCGP afterwards, that there is something coming up, and I was because I was also helping out a bit David on that one, and that was like I have so much let's say, how to say, respect on David that he took the effort to pull it off for because I know that it hasn't been easy, and it's a big risk to try to pull this kind of something off like that.
Well, okay. Yes, it was. I was a part of that too. What was you? Okay, so how many races were you guys? I would definitely like to see the proposal. How many races were you guys proposing to do? Was it 10 scale, 8 scale?
It
And
was
what type
8 scale.
of events? 10 scale?
8 scale nitro, I think it was the plan,
and
origin.
And what type of events were you planning to do it alongside of?
I think we had like 4 events thought in the original plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had, one of course in Finland, Rally Finland, beside Rally Finland. Then we were talking about some Supercross event in US.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think 2 events in US. And then I think we were or at least planning that can we get one event to Asia. So kind of we were trying to go globally directly with this thing. And that the whole idea was that how we can get into, or who has contacts, how we can get into to bring the event aside larger events.
Also, what was it going to be called?
Can't remember anymore. I would have to actually look.
Okay. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I understand why the manufacturers balk, because I remember when the price of the RCGP, which I think was maybe 10 grand, might have been 5 grand, about 10 grand. And they were like, no, right away. Right. It's a hard thing, right? It's a hard thing to ask them to pay that type of money. That was, if it would have been 10 manufacturers, it would have been 100,000. If it would have been 20 manufacturers, it would have been a lot less. And that was probably at a time when RC was a lot better shape, a little bit. The companies that were around had that type of money. Proline was a big company and whatnot. But very, very, that was a very, what's the word? Very, I get it. Like, I still believe that we need to have a World Series, and people talk about this, and I would love to see it. And now that I've gotten to work on the other side of things and see what these race promoters go through and how many races these guys have to go through and how much money these companies spend, I understand why they balked. But at some point we're going to have to. We keep saying we need to get big sponsors into RC. Well, we have to create a product in order for them to want to get involved, because it's all about getting eyes on this, right?
Yeah.
And you have to make and to make a product, it costs money.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is the thing that I really hope that RCGP would have pulled it off, because I think this is the thing is that you need to have like all the manufacturers unified, and that everyone is on the same board, everyone has the same target. Yes, it is a risk, it is an investment, but if you think a little bit further away, that if you are able to if the risk pays off and the reward can be super high, if you make it as a successful product, that you invest that 10,000 euros, which when you think about like a business world in general,
not a lot.
No, it's not a lot. And if you think about it, that if we are talking about this kind of monies with the manufacturers, and they are not willing to take the risk for that money, I think we are in a big trouble. I don't know that because we have a really, really long way how we can build up the sport into a level that there is something bigger going on.
I said this after RCGP. I said RCGP was 10 years too early.
Yeah.
And I would say that you guys were probably 15 years too early. Yeah. I say we're about 5 to 10 more years out. And 5 would be great. Lots of things have changed since then. Coverage of races is a lot easier now. There's a lot more people doing it. The reels, and that's like there's reels, and man, like that is the stuff that is catching people's attention. We don't have TikTok. I didn't even understand how properly to use Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff 5 years ago, and most of us didn't. So things have changed a lot. I still think there's hope. I still think I'm starting to see a shift in the manufacturers' thinking as well, but they're also trying to protect what they have and support. And these racers are like, hey, I'm going to go to this race because I know the contingency is worth this much, right? So what it's going to take is somebody to come in and invest that money into it, put in a big payout where the manufacturers have very little risk, right? And the drivers can get paid out and it can be a good event. But there's lots of talks going on right now. Lots of talks. I can't say much about it, but I have conversations with quite a lot of people. And there are others. And not necessarily manufacturers. Some are manufacturers. There are people out there that want this. And there are people that are out there planning stuff. I can't say no more than that. And David tells me that RCGP is not dead. So, but RCGP was the closest, I would say. Yeah. And they actually did it. The first year was excellent. I thought it was great. I look back because I was a big part of the guerrilla. I like to call it the guerrilla marketing that JQ and I ran on, because we had that one. Remember, we had that one guy, Even, whatever his name was, from Norway, who ran on. At this time, it was another podcast, American podcast, Loop is Live, and he had this crazy figure how much it was going to cost, like $4 million, because he based his mathematics off of. You know who this guy is? He's from Norway. He's 8-scale racer. He had this. He went on Loop is Live with this crazy algorithm of mathematics he had from the first commercial, and it said 100K salaries, and it was really talking about that some of these drivers make $100,000 a year, and he thought that's what it was going to cost each company to do this, and how JQ was just trying to steal from these companies. It was this whole spiel he had, and he was 110% wrong. And Jake used to say the nicer guys, which I would assume is you and O'Sheen and these guys, they tried to do that and they failed. And we were very aggressive, me included, right? On this platform. Did it work to an extent? Yes. But it also, I think I look back now and I'm like, Max calls me a normie because I'm like, oh, you're not down with the resistance anymore. But what he doesn't understand as you get older, you learn that sometimes you got to get in and influence things from the inside so things can happen. And you got to learn to play with everybody in their individual sandboxes, because we're all playing in one sandbox, but it's just divided into so many different sandboxes, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's trying to protect that little piece of the sandbox that they have. But deep down, a lot of these manufacturers agree. Like, I'll use America for an example. They want a proper governing body, better than Raw. They would love to have a series. You talk to these racers, we would love to have a series to determine a champion. I'm working with INS, who right now is the only real 10 scale series going on. People can say EOS. EOS is just one race now. Went from one of the biggest things in the world to one race because it weren't profitable, apparently. But series are great, right? And that every single sport out there has a series. And I think we are the only ones that don't. And I want to see that. And I think the focus has to be, people are like, well, RC is not going to go mainstream. No, I never said it's not going to go mainstream, but we can definitely promote our sport, our hobby to people so they know what we're doing. And that comes in various forms. I'm thinking of some people just want to go fishing and catch fish by a line. I want to cast a net and catch many fish, right? Yeah. And then, of course, we still need the individual fishing going on. And that comes down when the net is cast and you catch more fish, everybody benefits. Everybody eats.
At the same time, you need more people to raise the net from that, because nobody can do it alone. And I think the collaboration is the key. Yeah,
collaboration is the key. And I think I am starting to see the industry starting to work towards that. Now, I still think it's some years out, though. Some years out.
So, but this is positive because I truly hope it's, let's say, such a big, hobby for me that I truly hope that the sport can pull it through and there will be people who can, let's say, build it up and I truly hope that it happens. And it doesn't need to be mainstream. Like you said, that I was quite surprised. I was visiting GT World Challenge event, which is they drive the GT3 cars. And I visited the Spark 24-hour race in July, and I was like amazed how much and how professionally everything is done. And it's probably a series that you haven't heard about it, but there was like 100,000 people watching and getting drunk and just enjoying the atmosphere, and it was like massive circus. But you don't see that in mainstream. But still, there is a space for events and other sports and series that it can be, let's say, I don't know, profitable, but something that it lives, or that it can be healthy and alive.
And I'm sure they had a live stream that had many more people watching at the same time.
Yes, and they did the business side, and let's say they sold the business tickets in a way really well. That they got the sponsors, they had all the VIP stuff over there, that they get the money from the companies.
I agree with you, but it takes collaboration from everybody. Everybody be on board.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to end this on something you wanted to talk about. You sent me this as well. I saw that you had posted this as well. I've been involved in this on a different way, but Hydrogren RC cars. Maybe you could talk about this. Tell us a little bit about that. I'm going to look for the pictures, the projects that you sent me. I was involved in this with the Horizon, the H2 GP. I did this with RC Racing TV, where they do it with schools and whatnot. Now, a lot of people think, oh yeah, this is all about RC. No, the Hydrogren is the big money in it, because it was we did it at the Venetian in Vegas at a
I think it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it was 2023. I wanted to be at the Worlds. It was going on at the same time as the Worlds, 10 scale Worlds. But it was at a big energy convention, sustainable energy convention. It was tens of thousands of people there. Tens of thousands of people there. And different companies from all over the world. But it was all about the Hydrogren. The RC part of it was just how can I say, something that the money came from the hydrogen side of things, and it was a STEM program. It was in school. It was actually a very good program. It's a very good program that gets kids racing, mechanicalized, and learn about hydrogen and all that stuff. So lead me off. I'm trying to find this picture that you sent me, actually.
I think you can find it also from Facebook. I think in our page, I think I published some photos about it. But
okay, I'll look it up.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I just wanted to mention that I think just that people would be aware that this kind of things are happening in the world as well in RC. That the Horizon, they produce hydrogen fuel cells and the equipment, electrolyzers to charge the cells, etc. But yeah, we have in Jyväskylä a foundation called Central Mobility Foundation, who are trying to build up the hydrogen ecosystem and economics in Jyväskylä and Finland. And it's funded by Toyota, basically. And they also kind of got the idea. They knew that I'm involved with RC, that, hey, can we have hydrogen RC cars to promote the topic and the hydrogen in general, that what you can do with it, and just out of kind of a kind of a detail is that they actually have hydrogen pizza oven here, hydrogen sauna, I think what was else they had? They had like everything what you can power with hydrogen, which was kind of cool. But then we also built it up a kind of custom. We bought associated our SC10 Pro 4 car and installed like the hydrogen system into the car. And I think just kind of, it's quite interesting that there is kind of alternative power sources coming up. The reality, how that works, or is there any kind of, how to say, future in hydrogen RC in competitive racing? I don't really think so, but it's quite cool that there is kind of different technologies, what there is going on the background, maybe not in the racing scene, but in overall in RC, and that's quite cool.
Endurance racing. So that's what the H2GP was all about. H2GP. That was endurance racing for hours and hours and hours. And so basically, I want to explain to people, because I did talk about this. I talked about it. Basically, using the hydrogen to recharge the battery to make the battery go for longer on one charge than what it was. I think you was allowed a certain amount of fuel cells, and then you had 2 batteries.
Yeah.
And then you could also run just on the fuel cell, but you would have no power, right? You just substantially go slower, but you weren't using battery power at that point.
Yeah.
Or you can combine them with a hybrid, and you make your battery go a lot longer. And it was actually quite fun. I think it's great. It gets mechanics in schools. And I think this is a great way to get RC into schools as well. And progress, because the money is not, and funny enough, Toyota was big into this as well. There was a guy from Toyota there. They used to sponsor it. I was talking to him. It was actually a really good event. And the money is from the clean energy side of things, not the RC side. The RC is just the vehicle, right? But what it does do is it got schools from around the world to compete against each other in an endurance race, and they all had to put some work into it. These Californian kids, dude, they had this car that they put in wind tunnel. Like, they were like from an affluent high school, like a private high school. Dude, they had everything. Like, they had the computers out, test, like they were getting telemetry, all this type of stuff. Then you had like the team from the Dominican Republic. They just had like some ready to run car that they put together. There was actually one kid from there that actually raced, and he came up to me and he goes, "Hey, are you Lefty from the No Name RC podcast?" I said, "Yeah." And he was from Bulgaria. They're from Bulgaria. And he had a Mugen. But it's cool. I think people always say they want to get RC into schools and stuff like that. Well, this is how you do it, because the money comes from the hydrogen side of things.
Exactly. And this is, you raised an extremely good point that when we think about collaboration, that I think we need to open up our thinking in a sense that pure racing probably that's difficult to get into the schools. But if you kind of approach it on this angle that, for example, the hydrogen equipment, that's super expensive. I think the car, the RTR base was something like 1,000 euros with all the equipment what we purchased, or maybe even less. But then the hydrogen is something like 5,000-6,000 euros on top of that. So nobody as a private person can purchase those. But what a perfect opportunity this is to expand the sport if you do it like, let's say properly, that if you can get into these hydrogen parts or cars in the schools, you get them to race and you, let's say, just expose the sport. And I think we need to think about that, let's say, expanding the sport, this kind of different approaches rather than just what we have used to see for the last 20 years, or we have just been looking at the racing scene a lot.
Outside the box. I think outside the box. And the funny thing about this event was it was right next to the cafeteria. And I'm calling a race I see on the screen, and I looked up and over and I'm like, oh, there's thousands of people watching me. So I hearing my voice and all this stuff, and these kids are just going around doing their thing, and they were switch up, and I was like, man, we got to think outside the box. Like, and there was the only RC manufacturer that was there was High Tech, because they came because of me, and I was telling them about it. They sponsored it. They came, they put up a booth there, and they were the only ones involved in it. But we're not looking at that we're not even thinking of it. This is perfect for a lot of these companies to get involved in and gain exposure. And the companies could have had cars there for people to try, stuff like that. Dude, it was huge. Like, it was big. It was fun to be a part of that. I unfortunately haven't been a part of it since. And but yeah, definitely out of the box thinking to do that type of stuff. Jussi, it was a good chat with you. I know it's late there in Finland. I'm not going to keep you up too much longer. I hope people enjoyed this chat. I have learned a lot about the TestLogger. We feel the same about a lot of things on the way the industry's going. And thank you for the hard work and explaining how Vaasa went. It looked like fun. I wish I could have been there. And I hope to meet you one day at one of these races.
Maybe someday. I hope. I've been trying to get it, first of all, to the track, and also to one of the at least major events, and hopefully I will get to meet you in person someday. But I'm hoping that I will get into the racing, not myself, but just with the TestLogger coming and support the guys in the event. So I'm hoping that I will get into.
TestLogger can do too. I think these guys are dropping the ball and not getting involved in it. But maybe this was Shine's. Maybe we got out of the shit marketing and we do some good marketing.
Yes, and I promise you, if this starts to fly, I will be the first one to start sponsoring No Name RC podcast.
I appreciate it. Jussi, you have a good evening. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to learning, seeing some more test logging or seeing it for myself here in the future.
Thank you very much for the talk.
Are you looking to take your ride-on car to the next level? ML Toys makes it easy with plug-and-play modifications like motors, speed and brake controls, and more. ML Toys is the one-stop shop to make your ride-on car the coolest car in the neighborhood.
Thank you, Jussi, for your time. Good luck with everything you're doing with TestLogger, and I hope to see this. And I actually would like to try it out sometime. I mean, not personally for myself, but like to see it all work in person with somebody that's using it. So if you're ever using this and I'm in the area and you can show me how it's all working, I would love to see how this is working if you're trying this out or you're going to buy it. I'll leave a link in the written description for that as well. If you wish to purchase it, it should be good. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I enjoyed the conversation, and we'll be doing a lot of these one-off interviews, like these type of interviews as on the show. A lot of them come out when I'm traveling because it's kind of hard for me to record on the road and have all these up. So these are going to be mostly pre-recorded before this, and some are pre-recorded months before. So I have a great interview with Paul Thacker that's coming that I recorded back in July of 2025. I still haven't put it out yet. because it's good, and it's going to take some. It's there for times when I'm traveling. As you know, I travel a lot with Elite. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments. Are you going to try the TestLogger? Like, are you interested in it? Do you think it could make big changes? What do you think about his software that's backing it up? So let us know in the comments of this show. And if you've tried this, let us know. Reach out to me and contact me as well. I want to know about it. With that said, a big shout out to the NNRC squad around the world. We can't do this without you guys. Thank you for all the continued support. We'll keep rolling up. 10,000 subs. That's what we're going for. We can do it, everybody. We can do it before the end of the year or earlier. So roll those numbers up. Let's get to 9 and keep on rolling to 10. Thank you to the YouTube members and patrons for the price of a cup of coffee per month. You really help this podcast out, and you get early perks like early access. And then we have chats going into Patreon, which is pretty cool. So I talk to people there and stuff like that. And you help support this. And that's really important, because without support, this can't go on. So thank you very much. And thank you to these companies for the support. We have links in the written description of this podcast. Please show the sponsors some love. It helps us out. They are J Concepts, High Tech RC, Sidewinder Fuels, BeachRC.com, Invisible Speed, Techno RC, Clinic RC, ML Toys, Elite RC Productions, One Up Racing, Mayako, A-Main Hobbies, SMC Batteries, and Racecraft. Remember, everybody, RC is awesome, Nitro is the glory, and knowledge is power. But e-buggy pays the bills, and e-truggy is the most funnest, best handling RC off-road racing vehicle there is. Yes, I said that. Lefty and crew is out. Thank you, everybody, for support. Thank you, Jussi, and I'll see you at the races. Lefty is out. E-truggy.